What's up everyone? Today we're talking about ankle mobility and how you can improve upon it. I'm going to first go over a screen that I use to assess somebody's ankle mobility, and then I'm going to show you a few exercises that you can perform at home to improve upon the range of motion in your ankle. So the test that I use to assess somebody's ankle mobility is really easy and you can do it from your home. All you need is a pole or a wall of some sort and your ankle. So you're going to start by taking a fist and putting it up against the wall. Now, if you have good ankle mobility, you can do a thumb and a fist, but I recommend for starters just trying a fist. So once you put your fist up against the wall, you're going to move your toes up next to your hand, and then you can remove your hand. You want to have 3 points of contact in your foot. So the base of your big toe, the base of your pinky toe, and your heel. So what we're trying to test here is how far forward your knee can get to that wall. So we're trying to mimic that deep squat position. So with this test, I'm going to have you take your knee forward over your fourth toe, getting as close as you can to the wall or the pole, whatever you have. And if you start to notice that your heel comes off the ground, I want you just to make a mental note of that and see how far forward your knee can get towards the wall. So watch me. So notice I'm able to get all the way to the pole here, and my heel stays on the ground. So this position right here is very similar to the position of a deep squat. So the deep squat's really dependent on having an adequate amount of ankle mobility. So this ankle mobility screen will tell you one of two things. So if when you perform the test, you notice that your heel starts to come off the ground, if you get a pinching or block sensation in the front part of your ankle, then it could be that you have more of a joint restriction. But if you notice that your heel comes off the ground and you get a tightness in the backside of your ankle when you get as close as you can to the wall, then it could be more of a soft tissue restriction. So think about the muscles and the tendons that sit on the backside of your calf. So this first exercise is going to address both the joint restriction and the soft tissue restriction. So the setup is very similar to the assessment I just showed you. You want to have 3 points of contact in your feet, press down into your big toe, creating that arch. And you want your knee to go over that fourth toe, keeping your knee and foot in proper alignment. So you're just gonna rock forward as far as you can, but this time you're gonna apply a little pressure behind the knee. So not on top of the knee, but more on the thigh, pressing forward this way. So this added pressure is gonna help to mobilize the ankle joint forward and create a little more resistance. So just like this. Notice my heel stays on the ground. If it starts to pop up, just make a mental note of that and then stop on the next rep before that happens. So now the next variation with the band, this is called a banded joint mobilization. So what you would do is wrap it around your ankle, just like this. So the key with this is to put it on the actual ankle joint. The ankle does not sit up here, it sits more on the top of the foot. So the joint itself is comprised of the talus bone and the tibia, or your shin bone. So the way you want that to move is you have your talus bone here and your shin bone here. In order to get that flexion, you need your shin bone to come forward while this bone glides back. So see how that creates this flexion here? So we're gonna put the band right there on that talus bone. And ideally you have somebody else to pull back on the band, but if you don't, you can just put it on a door frame or around a pull, so it gets this anterior to posterior or front to back pull. So it's just an added resistance, so when you go forward into your rock, you get a little more range of motion. So just like that. So this next exercise is going to address more of the soft tissue limitations around ankle mobility. So what we're going to do is perform a calf raise. And with this calf raise, we're just going to perform the lowering portion of the lift. So you're going to start at the top and slowly lower yourself down as deep as you can go. And when you reach the bottom, you're just going to step down and reset. We're not trying to focus on strengthening the upward portion. So this lowering portion, what you'll notice is that I'm lengthening the muscle and strengthening at the same time. That's called an eccentric muscle contraction, where you get that length, but you're also strengthening as well. So one more time, start at the top, and then just slowly lower yourself down as deep as you can go, and then just step down and reset. This final exercise is going to be more of a practical application of how to improve your ankle mobility. So like I said before, the deep squat is really dependent on having a good range of motion in the ankles. So one of my favorite things to train ankle mobility is just to sit in that deep squat, practice that positional strength. So what you're going to do is stand up, get set in your feet with your 3 points of contact, creating your arch, and then just drop down as deep as you can into that lowest portion of the squat. And you're just going to rock forward and back, side to side, making sure you maintain those 3 points of contact in your feet. Just trying to create a little more range of motion and freeing up the ankle joint. I usually recommend performing these exercises about once or twice a day, just so that you can build up some consistency and see that long-term progress that you're looking for.